In this video, we are looking at Warner Bros. Discovery. Next month, fourth quarter earnings will be available. So what to expect? We will look at the current projections for the previous year, for the next year, and 2024 year. So these projections again are based on management guidance, and then we will slightly adjust our fair value calculation based on 2023 year. So only slight changes, very small changes to the fair value calculation. First of all, next month, when the fourth quarter earnings will be available, I'll be making videos, so not to miss any new videos, please consider subscribing. Okay, so the stock price of Warner Bros. Discovery was really disappointing for investors during the previous year, but the goal here is to focus on the fundamentals, not on the stock price. And usually management knows the company much better than the average investor, so the guidance is very valuable source of information. So what to expect for the whole 2022 year, 2023 year, and 2024 year. So on this table, we can see the projections for the 3 years. So again, this type of calculations will be adjusted after the fourth quarter report will be available. So on the first row, we can see EBITDA. EBITDA stands for earnings before interest and tax, depreciation, amortization. So this is the most important metric of all. Next comes free cash flow conversion. So how much free cash flow is converted from EBITDA, then free cash flow. Then we have gross debt. All numbers are in billions. And the last metric is leverage. So this is gross debt divided by EBITDA. And this metric is very important because management provided their guidance what this metric is going to be in 2 years. Okay, so for the previous year, management provided guidance of EBITDA of 9 to 9.5 billion. It will be very interesting to see the actual results when the fourth quarter earnings will be available. The free cash flow conversion is from 33% to 50%. So previously I used the free cash flow conversion of 50% to be on the conservative side. Now I use the free cash flow conversion of 40%. So this is in the middle of the range what management is projecting. As a result, the free cash flow for the whole year is projected to be around 3.8 billion. So what about the debt? A lot of critics are saying that Warner Bros. Discovery has huge amount of debt. But the question is this debt manageable? So previously, after the third quarter, they had more than 50 billion of debt, of gross debt. I expect them to repay around 1 billion. In best case scenario, 2 billions. But I believe that 1 billion is more reasonable, which implies the leverage around 5x. So these are the projected results for the whole 2022 year. Again, we don't know what will happen in the fourth quarter, so these are only the projections. Okay, what about the next year? So I believe these projections are far more important than the results for the previous year. So it is very interesting to see if management confirms their guidance for 2023 year. So this is the single most important metric that I will look at in the fourth quarter earnings. Previously, management projected around 20 billion of EBITDA. If we use free cash flow conversion of around 40 to 45%, we get the free cash flow of around 5.4 billion. So what about the debt? I have read that management is planning to repay around 4 billion in 2023. This implies that their gross debt will be 45 billion in 1 year. If we look at their free cash flow of more than 5 billion, it is reasonable to assume that they can repay the debt. So this brings the leverage to 3.75. Again, we will update our fair value calculations based on this year's numbers. So what about the next year? What about the 2024 year? So this where the situation gets really fuzzy. When I see companies' projections for 10 years, for example, free cash flow projections, this brings for me a lot of questions. So I believe 1 or 2 years are possible, maybe even 5 years for stable companies. But projecting for 10 years brings a lot of questions. A lot of things can go wrong. So projecting for 10 years is really questionable. So what will be the projections for 2024 year? EBITDA of around 13 billion. If we use free cash flow conversion of 50%, this is the high end what management is projecting for the free cash flow conversion. This brings their free cash flow to 6.5 billion and their gross debt to 39 billion. This brings their leverage to exactly 3x. This is in line with what management is projecting for the leverage to be in 2 years. So this model fits what management is projecting. It will be very interesting to see if this model changes after the fourth quarter report will be available. Okay, so what is the fair value of the stock? I have slightly adjusted some of the values, but the fair value has stayed almost the same. So let's run these calculations very fast. I have made this type of videos before. So the EBITDA again is projected to be around 12 billion. We use slightly lower leverage of 3.8. So I have slightly adjusted this number. We use the free cash flow conversion of close to 40%. This brings the free cash flow of close to 5 billion. We use the enterprise value to EBITDA estimate of 10. This is again on the conservative side. Netflix and Disney traded at much higher multiples. We get the enterprise value of 120 billion. We subtract debt of 45 billion. That is projected to be in 2023. So this is not the current debt, but the debt that's going to be in 1 year. We add back cash and we get the market cap. We divide by the number of shares outstanding and we get the current fair value of close to $32 per share. From the current price of close to $13.5, we get the upside potential of more than 130%. So this implies that the stock must be more than a double from the current price level. We also get the free cash flow yield of close to 15%. So the stock continues to be significantly undervalued. Okay, so these numbers are based on the current information. After the fourth quarter, some of the numbers will be updated. So it will be very interesting to see if management confirms their guidance for 2023 year. So this is the most important metric that I will be looking at. I'll be making videos after the report will be available. So please consider subscribing. Also, if you want to know more about other purchases of super investors, here's the video. If you are not subscribed to the channel, you can do this by pressing the button right here. You will not miss a single new video. Thank you very much for watching till the end and see you in the next video.